This week on Doggy Dilemmas, we're going to see Rita and how far she's come from the jumping, barking, crazy lunatic she was 3 weeks ago to the nice, calm dog she is today. Don't go away.
Denise Mazzola is a certified professional dog trainer with over 20 years experience training dogs and people. If you've got a doggy dilemma, Denise can help.
Hi, I'm Denise Mazzola. Welcome to another episode of Doggy Dilemmas. Today is our third session with Miss Rita, and to bring you up to speed if you haven't seen it previously, she was rescued from Hurricane Sandy in New York, New Jersey as a stray. She was brought to the Central Vermont Humane Society on a transport and was deteriorating in the kennel, which happens sometimes with dogs, and was potentially deemed not adoptable. So they called me and asked if I would do some training with her to help her become more adoptable. And she is certainly a very adoptable dog. So Miss Rita is about 1. We really don't know because she was a stray. She had some impulse issues, as she still does a little bit. She's whining at the food behind me. Rita, come here. Good girl, sit. Good girl. So let's take a look at where Rita started. She's not kenneling well.
Right.
She has a high level of arousal, which then worries the staff.
Right.
Okay.
And so it's something, and she just, you know, she requires a lot of work, like 24/7.
Sit. I can't do treats and all this other stuff. Sit. Good girl. Get back. Nope. Sit. So you might need to hold that door for me, Anna. Freight train greeting. So, oh, she's going to tee him. You're going to need somebody to tell you they're not going to. Go, girl.
Hi. Hi. I know.
Yep.
Hi.
And let's go back.
Oh, that's a good girl. You're beautiful. My goodness, you're beautiful. Wait. You're getting that all tangled. Come on. Oh, you're kicking me. Come on.
Oh, good. Put that one in your mouth. How's that feel? If you treat.
No, that's not a toy. What are you doing? Well, it is, but. Come on, Lola. I know.
So part of what she does is she redirects the leash.
Yeah.
Stop. Which is better than my arm. I'm not a fan of all this teeing. Are you familiar with when a dog tees? And that looks a lot like the so she does a little pity behavior, grabbing her head, holding her down. Like there's nothing bouncy and inefficient about Rita, right? Like Lola has. One of the things that's very important for Rita, as you just saw her obnoxious behaviors where we started, she's not 100%. She's not the perfect dog. She still requires management and training. On a daily basis, I do not walk around with my bait bag, but for the purpose of the show, it's easier. And as you can see, she's offering to lie down today instead of jumping, barking, whining, which she was doing a lot of initially. I've done a lot of work with the down, and we'll see that in a minute. So one of the things she's been learning to do is to wait for her food bowl. So I'm going to grab her food bowl, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. This has been very difficult for her. Jumping is also one of her mainstays. Come here. Come here. Sit. So I'm going to tell her to stay. I'm going to place the food bowl on the floor, and she cannot get up until I've told her to. If she does, you're going to see me body block her, which we've done many times on the show. Stay. And the way you start this is you go slowly. You can feed her as a reinforcement. Stay. She doesn't need that anymore. Good girl. Ah. Stay. So I'm not going to get picky about the sit or the down because it's mostly important that she stay until I release her. Good girl. I like the way that she's relaxed. 1, 2, 3, 4, release. Good girl. And I say release as her release word because we say the word okay so much during the course of the day that you don't want to say it inadvertently when you've asked your dog to stay. Good girl. All right, we'll take this. So, you know, Rita's been here during the holidays and it's been challenging to work with her on a daily basis. So sometimes if I can't work with her when I feed her, I have been feeding her out of Kongs. Now these are considered brain toys. And if you can see in this one, you can see the peanut butter and her dog food are in there. And again, she's offering the down. And so initially, I just put these in front of her on the floor after she waited. But now, I'm going to begin the hiding process. When you hide Kongs or things you want to feed your dog out of, don't put them under your favorite couch cushion or places where if the dog digs for it, it's going to be a problem for you. So, yeah, I know, it's very hard to wait. So we're going to ask her to wait again because she just jumped on me. Stay. And I'll put one down. Again, I don't care if she stays down. Release. Then you can do it as simply as you can put one on a dog bed over here, and you could put one in a crate. You could hide one. This is a toy basket full of dog toys, so I could put one right here on top like that. And the purpose is, it will take her maybe 30 minutes. She has to figure out and eat out of this Kong. Then she has to sniff around and find the other Kongs. So it's a good way to feed your dog if they are high energy dog like she is, if you need them to be busy for a period of time. And if we think about it, animals in the wild spend their entire existence looking for food, and for certain dogs, it's a huge injustice to them to just plop a food bowl down. They're done in 30 seconds, and then they look at us like, well, now what am I going to do? Oh, I'll eat your cushions, or I'll eat your couch, or I'll eat your favorite pair of shoes, or I'll go crazy around the house. So those are a few impulse control exercises that you can use around feeding, making them wait for the food bowl, making them wait for your stuffed Kong, and then place the Kongs or the brain toys around a room so the dog has to actually start to search for them. Again, avoid putting them on your favorite chair, under couch cushions. If you have an old beat up rug, you could certainly have it partially under the rug. You can also put them in oatmeal containers, shoe boxes, anything like that that they will shred through to get to the Kong inside. The new behavior we're going to do today is a whistle recall. All you need is a little whistle from your average hardware store, and you need some very, very high value food. You should have already determined that your dog enjoys it. And what you're going to do is we're going to blow the whistle a total of 3 times, and we're going to give her a fairly large piece of liverwurst, and I've already determined that she likes that. It won't what we're doing is we're pairing whistle equals liverwurst. Whistle equals liverwurst. And as time goes on, this is the first step of doing a whistle recall. Now we can also teach her to come to her name and other things, but a whistle is usually a very novel sound that the dog has never heard before, so it will be, we're going to make it very powerful by pairing it with the liverwurst. So as soon as she's done drinking, Rita, good girl. So I'm going to hope she's never heard the whistle. It's not required that she sit or do anything. It's just required that I blow it and then I give her the liverwurst. And it's going to be a good portion of liverwurst. I have to be generous when I do this. Doesn't look like much to start. Now I am going to wait until she just loses a little bit of focus on me. She can, again, it's not loaded yet. It doesn't have meaning yet, but it will shortly. I just want her to move around. Come on, get up. So if I toss a little treat for you. You don't need to do it any more than 3. Then we'll go on and do a few other things, and we'll come back to this later. Good girl. So you can tell that we've worked on sitting and we've worked on staring at me for attention to get stuff. So this is new, and she's not exactly sure if there's something else she can do. So I just don't want her to be sitting every time I blow the whistle. Good girl. And you saw that time she already had a little bit of a look up. So that's all we're going to do with that at the moment. Good girl. So that's the beginning of the whistle recall. We'll pick up on that at the end of the show. All right, so now I want to show you what she has, how far she's come with her hand signals, sit and down. She has a good leave it, which I'll show you. And I've started a rollover and I've started a spin, but they're not as good as the sit and down. Rita, down. Good girl. Very nice. Now Rita does not need a treat every time. And she is warmed up because I've been wearing the bait bag and walking around and talking with her. Good girl. Okay. You also know that when she lies down, she stays there for a period of time. That's called duration. And we've worked on that by feeding her her meal. Every time she lies down, she gets handfuls of food. And I think I showed you last time a little bit of the correction with the 2 fingers on her back. So she's had some of that. Rita. Good girl. Down. Good girl. Very good. So I'm not going to treat her for that one. She can have a nice pat. You're such a good girl. That is. Good girl. Sit. Sit. Hey. I know, the bait bag's right there. Sit. Good girl. Nope, sit. Yes, good girl. Very nice. Okay. Get up. Down. Good girl. Very good. So last time I think I encouraged you to put yourself in different positions so that your dog would generalize the hand signal, whether you were standing, sitting, reclining on the couch, eating your meal, whatever it is you're doing in the car. Be sure that your dog will do it whenever you've asked them to. Good girl. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the rollover. You're going to need a handful of treats. So, I don't know, I've got maybe 6. And I think I can do this while I'm standing. We've progressed down. So you ask the dog to lie down. You relax them, which means her hip is relaxed. You keep your hand directly on her nose. Good girl. I'm going to give her a treat there. Good girl. Now, it took me, without exaggeration, about 3 days to get this consistently. Good girl. She did not want to roll over. She scooched all around the floor. Down. Let's come over here. Well, down. Good girl. So we'll see if she can roll over at the bed there. And now I can label it. Roll over. Good girl. And be generous with your treats when the dog finally rolls over. You don't want to have just one. Good girl. Very nice. Okay. So in time, I won't need food. Let's give that a shot. So no lure. Down. Down. Good girl. Roll over. Ooh, so she struggled. Roll. Yay, good girl. So that's that second step. No lure in my hand, but I treat her when she rolls over. Very nice. When you have a jumpy, high-energy dog like Rita, you don't want to teach them jumping tricks. I like to teach her lay-down tricks. Roll over. I like to teach her spin. This one's been a little tricky for her too, but we'll try. Again, I'm going to do this with a lure. You just turn her head and she gets it when she completes it. Good girl. Spin. Then you can start to label it. No food. Good girl. So those would be all nice things to have this dog offer someone instead of jumping, instead of barking. Okay, so now leave it. And let's see. You ready? Leave it. Good girl. So she still gets a treat, even though she dove for it. Okay, get up. Leave it. Good girl. Leave it. Good girl. Now again, this is a setup because I'm dropping treats, but her leave it has been very good. If she's looking at something, if she's starting to chew on a dog bed, if she's pulling my gloves off a table, I've been able to say leave it. She redirects right to me, and when I'm able to, I will give her some treats. If I don't have them on me, I give her lots of praise and attention. Good girl. Very nice. Okay. I want to show you what I call a sit restraint. She may flop over. And the purpose is also, I've seen a lot of puppies like this, and Rita is like this. It's easier to do this with puppies. Is I want my touching her to calm her down, not to rev her up. Rita, come here. So I'm going to start with her. Sit. Sitting right in front of me. Good girl. I'm going to hold on to her collar, and I'm going to pat her all over. Now Rita tends to be very mouthy. She can sometimes put a little pressure on it, but the point is when she does get mouthy, I am not going to stop what I'm doing. I don't want her mouthiness, good girl, to make me go away. Good girl. We've done a little bit of this. Good girl. And she's also not totally revved up right now, which is a nice time to start it. Good girl. But we want her to accept touch, to accept handling of the feet. Good girl. Separating her toes for when we need to clip. So now if she's going to get mouthy, I'm not going to stop. Good girl. Good girl. And then when she is being calm, that is when you want to put her foot down. Very nice. Look at you. Very nice. Down. Come here. Rita, down. Hey, down. Lie down. Thank you. Good girl. So now we'll do it in a down position so we can get her back legs. I'm not going to prevent her from being mouthy. I'm just not going to stop what I'm doing when she is. Good girl. Very nice. So now she gets a little revved up. So we're just going to keep patting her, even her face. And I don't stop until she's calm. Right, because she has learned somewhere in her stray life, oh, that if I'm mouthy, good girl. Well, so I'm going to keep her on this side. So I'm going to hold on to her leg right above her elbow, close to her body, so that she can't flail around. Good girl. Yes. So I'm not using a lot of pressure until I have to. Lie down. Down. Good girl. Yes. So we want to make sure that she's going to be accepting. She's going to go to a home and people are going to want to pat her and love her, and they're not going to want to have her teeth on their skin. Good girl. But she can't get up until I tell her. Now I'm not hurting her, right? I'm just handling all the parts of her body. Good girl. Her ears. Good girl. I'm going to wait and see if I can get a sigh out of her. Sometimes that's an indicator of settling down. Good girl. Yes. Nice. Nice. Okay. Good girl. Now she might shake off. That's a stress shake off. Good. So you should, if you have puppies at home, you should absolutely do sit and down restraints. If you have a dog that you feel comfortable doing this with, your own dog, then you should absolutely do it. But you want to be able to pat the dog and have her be calm, not have your hands start to become toys and chew objects. Okay, so I'm going to put her in her crate. I'm going to show you how to do that because I still use food to do that. And then we're going to show how we've progressed from being crazy in her crate to sitting or waiting calmly till the door is fully open until we get our gentle leader on and we start to sit at gates and doors in the house. All I'm going to do is open the crate. Good girl. Get in. Get in. Good girl. So I started by throwing treats in. Now I can just make the hand signal. For her, we have to close bottom and top. She tends to be a digger. So We'll see if she'll start her little barking routine. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. But the point is now, I want her, this is another impulse control exercise, I want her to be still, hopefully not barking, before I bring her out. And then I'll show you how we put on her gentle leader and how much better she is at this than she used to be. Wait. So her word is wait. If she charges out, I'm going to slam the door in her face just like I did in the car in the first. So wait. Good girl. She has to wait for my word, not dependent on my body movement. Wait. Wait. Good girl. Release. Good girl. I give her a hand signal and a word. You can do either or. Just make sure that you're consistent and that you require the dog to wait until you've told them they can come out. The hardest part about dog training is being a human being because we tend to be so inconsistent. Now, I told you at the beginning she's not perfect, right? So she's still jumping, but not nearly like she was. Some of the reason is she knows other things to do now. She has some English, which is the key to having a well-behaved dog. Does not need to be winning obedience titles. A well-behaved dog needs to have some English so that we can communicate with them. Come here. So I ask her to sit. Rita. Sit. Good girl. And I can put this on behind her back. Good girl. Very nice. The only time she starts to dig at this, and it's nice and loose, it comes right to the tip of her nose, is if she sees something that she really wants to get to, like another dog, and she can't. So I'm going to show you how she sits at the gate. You ready? Good girl. And waits. Oop. So I'm going to ask her to sit. And sitting is like please. If you are in a hurry, you don't want your dog to sit at the gate, don't ask. But for her, again, impulse control, learning English, these are all ways that you can use the behaviors that the dog has learned without having to give cookies. Okay, because that's, people object to that a lot of times. No, you're in the way. Move. Wait. Wait. It doesn't matter who goes through first. What matters is that I've told her to go through. Okay. No, I didn't tell you. Well, it was close. Sit. Good girl. Wait. Okay. Good girl. Very nice. This is Amy Willie. Amy has two registered therapy dogs through Delta Pet Partners, Correct. Big Mama Jubilee and Frankie. And just a little sidebar, you can follow Big Mama Jubilee on Facebook. She has her own Facebook page. She's very active and a lot of fun to follow. So what we're going to do with Amy and Rita is show you tug. And there is a myth out there, we've both heard it many times, that, oh, you can't play tug with a dog, you'll teach them to be aggressive. No, you will not. You can, like not service dogs, excuse me, police dogs and any kind of Schutzhund training, things like that, they use tug in a different way than the average person needs to use tug. But it's a great way to teach the switching game, which is rev the dog up and then calm them down. Yep. And you're going to do that with a sit and a down with her? Okay. And it's a great way to get energy out. It's also a great way, and as you can see, Rita needs to get energy out. And it's also a great way to teach a drop it or a give command. So Correct. It's a take and a drop it. So I'll let you start. Her rope toys are up there, and when she's focused on you, I'll get rid of this plastic thing.
Sure. I mean, I think before we get started, I'd just like to talk about the rules of tug a little bit.
Oh, sure. Good idea.
Yep. So the rules of tug, we're going to be using some rope toys, which we're not going to pull out till we're ready to go, because as soon as she sees them, she gets pretty aroused. And as you guys are a little bit familiar with Rita, she's a pretty high arousal dog. So the number one rule with her is that with the game, I'm going to control her level of arousal. So I'm going to have two rope toys. We're going to do some switching of the toys. I'm going to ask her for some sits and the downs. But my games of tug with her are going to be very short so that she doesn't get to a high point of arousal where the game then becomes too much. So that's a big deal with her.
Oh, that's a great way to set her up for success.
Correct. Yep. And then also with the game, I'm going to control the tug toy. She's going to have to release it when I ask her to do that. and she's not going to be able to take a toy until I give her the signal that it's okay. With our tug toys that we have in the house that we use with Rita or with the other dogs, they're never toys that are left out and around the house. They only come out for these games, and that's another way that we control the toys. They only come out for these particular games. Some of the other basic rules that I'm sure that you've heard before are no teeth on skin.
And what are you going to do if that happens?
So if that happens, and we've done this with her a little bit before, because when we first started this, she would actually chomp my hands pretty hard. And the game immediately ends, and we're going to actually just stick her in a crate, for a minute or two until she calms down, and then we can start the game again. So she gets a very clear timeout for any teeth on skin, and that will end the game. I think that's it. I think we're ready to go.
I know you're going to use the leash in the house. Let's explain why you're going to do
that.
Yeah,
Rita is a dog, and you guys have seen her, seen some of her antics before, but she really enjoys, and some of you probably have dogs like this at home, she really enjoys getting a toy, and she likes controlling the toy. Mm-hmm. And part of the way that she does that is throwing it around. She'll run around, and she also likes to play keep away, where she gets a toy, and then she'll sort of run around and not necessarily bring it back for a game or an exchange game. So we're going to control Rita a little bit with a leash. Very simple tool. I'm going to put the leash on her. I don't need to be holding it in my hands. I'm probably going to use my feet to step on the leash, but that's going to prevent her from running around the room with the toy. And again, just another way to control her and to control the game.
Good.
So, okay, so we will start by throwing the leash on her.
And pick up the shrapnel.
You also notice that while we're doing this, we don't have lots of other toys around because I want her to be focusing on me in this game. So we just picked up that toy that she thought was extremely fun.
So here's the first thing. She can't lunge at them while I hand them to Amy. Wait.
Good girl. Good girl, Rita. And she already has toys in the room she was pretty focused on. So we may have to work to get her attention a little bit. But with her, I don't think it'll take too long.
Good girl.
Good girl. She offers a nice down, which we've been working with her on. Good girl. We've also been working on some self-control. So I'm moving this kind of slowly. I'm not antagonizing her too much. Okay. Get it. Good girl. Good girl. I'm not going to be worried if she gets tangled in the leash. Good girl. Now this active toy is going to go dead. And this one, Rita out. Rita out. Yes. Okay, get it. Get it. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Rita out. Out. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. So she gets pretty aroused. Rita out. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Rita out. Good girl. Good. Good girl. Rita out. Good. Sit. Rita, sit. Down. Good girl. Good girl. So what we've done is we've gone from very high arousal. Rita likes to tug. You could hear her growling a little bit and vocalizing. I'm not interpreting that as aggression. That's just part of her tug game. None of those games lasted very long, and that's to keep her arousal level at a lower range. And what we've done by asking her to lay down and stay in this position, Rita, Rita, down, down, good girl, is move from hindbrain, which is very aroused, into the game, all that sort of growling and activity, all that sort of stuff, into more of a front brain activity, which is laying down, showing some self-control, and waiting for the game to begin again. So she's doing a very nice job of that. Good girl. You ready? Are you ready? Yes, good. Get it. Good girl. Good girl, Rita. Good girl. Yes. Oh, yes. Rita, good. Out. Out. Yes, get it. Good girl. Good girl. Whoop. So she let go. Sit. Sit. And that's okay. That's just a nice opportunity to take a break for a second. Good girl.
Let's show with one toy how you started the out with either the collar. Did you do it all with collar grab?
Nope, I did it with the switching game. And just saying out when she was ready to
Oh, you did it.
drop
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So do you want me to show that?
Yeah, let's just talk about how you taught the out and also show the one with the collar in case people don't have two toys.
Sure, sure. And if you're going to use two toys, one of the things that we sort of experimented with in the beginning is they've got to be two good girl. Wait. They've got to be two toys that are exactly the same. Otherwise, you risk the dog deeming one toy higher value than the other toy, and the game isn't as smooth because they have a harder time dropping the higher value toy for what they're determining as a lower value toy. So that's why these two tug ropes look exactly the same. So to teach the out, and she actually has a pretty nice out for a high arousal dog who's really just sort of started this game. The way to do it with the two toys, and we'll just show you that real quick, is as she's getting ready to drop the toy that's in her mouth, I'm going to label it as out. And then her reward is that she gets a game of tug right away. So out doesn't end the game. And, you know, eventually what we want to be able to do is use out for anything that she's got in her mouth that we don't want her to have. But initially, it's got to be a little bit of a game. She needs a reward for dropping what she has in her mouth, so she's going to get a really vigorous game of tug with the second toy for dropping the first toy. Are you ready? Good girl, let's go. Get it. Good girl. Yes, good. Good girl. Good. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Rita out. Good. Yes. Good girl. So the timing's a little tricky because it's hard to know when exactly she's going to drop it, but she gets the idea. Rita out. Good girl. Very nice. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Rita out. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Rita out. 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 Good girl. Out. Good. Sit. Sit. Good. So she's going to get rewarded many more times with the second game of tug than she is for the game ending. One of the formulas that I've read is for every, 10 times you ask her for an out, you're going to play tug with her, and there might be one time where that tug actually ends the game. And that keeps it fun for the dog. So to do an out with one toy, and to do this, we're just going to put the second one away. You ready?
I need to back up.
You ready?
Back up.
Good girl. Down. Down. Good girl. Are you ready? Good. Get it. Good girl. We'll make this game nice and vigorous for her. Good, Rita. Good. So one way to get her, to encourage her out before she really has it, is this toy is going to go dead and become very unexciting. I'm going to grab her collar under her chin. Good girl. And then I'm going to give it back to her. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Out. Good girl. Get it. So the out predicts something fun. Yes, good girl. Out. Good girl. Okay. Good girl. You can see she really likes this. Good girl. Good girl. Out. Good. Okay, get it. Out. Good. And the one time it ends the game, I'm actually going to give her a little food reward for that. Rita. Good girl. So although she doesn't get a new game of tug, she gets something good. Good girl. And there's the basics of tug and outs.
Great. So let's just review again. Have her down. Stay. So we're going to switch her, high arousal, low arousal. So the rules of tug are?
The rules of tug are no teeth on skin. With a high arousal dog, you control the level of arousal. My games of tug with her was sort of short and sweet. She definitely got kind of vigorous at it, but she didn't get over the top, what I would describe as over the top aroused. I control the game, so I always have the tug toys.
You always win.
I always win. That's correct.
And when I noticed also when you started that she was in place and it wasn't the movement of the toy that initiated the game, it was you saying take it.
That's right.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
My saying take it. And that depends on my goal a little bit. I do want her to only take the toy when, I'm ready for her to do that. But if I'm using the toy as a reward, especially in the beginning, for just releasing the first toy, she may get the second one pretty quickly. But that won't last long because we want her to, to learn to take it only when we're ready for it.
Good. So, all right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And the toys have to go
Yes,
away.
And these toys are only out for the game.
Leave it. Good.
Right.
Good girl. Stay. Earlier in the show, I showed you how to start a whistle recall. So we're accelerating the process a little bit. Earlier I did 3 whistle blows and gave her some liverwurst. Now we're going to up the ante. And when you start out doing this the second time, the dog should not be focused on you. Not really know what's happening. So I'm just going to send her away with a treat. I'm going to blow the whistle. Good girl. So she looks right up and trotted right back, which is nice. I'm going to send her away a little bit further. Good girl. So we've added distance now, and because I'm in the house working, I'm just using treats to move her away. We'll do one more. Good girl. That was nice. So you can see, even though we're inside and she knows there's a game that's being played, she clearly looks up when I blow the whistle and she clearly trots right back to me. The next step would be to take this outside on a long line, which would be at least 15, 20 feet, if not longer, depending on your dog. If you have a terrier or a hound, you may never get a good reliable recall because you're working against some genetics that are pretty strong for that dog. But the goal is that when your dog is outside, you can blow the whistle more than once. It may not be a one-time deal. If she's off in the woods and I'm blowing the whistle, she has to first hear it. Oh, was that the whistle? She's going to take an alert to what's happening around her, as long as she's not interested in something else that's more interesting in the woods. Then I'm going to blow it again, and now she has to track the sound of the whistle so that she will know where I am, and that's the point of doing this, so that it's not just standing here. It's when she's out being busy or out in the woods, I can blow the whistle multiple times, and that she will understand to look for me using her ears so that she can come back to me. It can be a very powerful tool, a whistle recall. I love doing those. So let's just review on this episode of Doggy Dilemmas. It's our final episode with Miss Rita, the Hurricane Sandy dog that went to Vermont and then ended up here for some board and train. She's done really well. Has great sits, great downs. She's able to leave it, drop food, clothing items that she's not supposed to have. I can now tell her to leave it. She'll refocus to me. She's a great little exercise dog. We've shown you how to play some good games of tug to help dissipate energy, get her to drop things, get her to come to you, makes you very interesting and more powerful, I guess, in her world. I'm not sure I like that word, but it makes you more interesting so that there's a reason to follow you, come back to you, pay attention to what you have to say. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Doggy Dilemmas, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
If you have a doggy dilemma, Denise can help. Visit www.denisemazzola.com for more information. Denise Mazzola is a certified professional dog trainer tested through the Association of Pet Dog Trainers. The association requires recertification every 3 years with a minimum of 30 hours of continuing education. She has been training dogs and working with families for over 20 years.